They're still watching Arise, Daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages of the papers, and we're starting with our sister publication, as we would usually do, This Day publication. Let's look at what's on the front page. It says, Naira scarcity, Peter Obi calls for calm, appeals to Nigerians to bear with FG, that is federal government, and the CBN. Let's look at some of the riders there. Urges Apex Bank to expedite circulation of new currencies. UBA, GMD, CBN banks addressing challenges associated with new Naira disbursement. Atiku alleges that APC conniving with banks to hoard new notes. MAN, that is Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, decries hiccups in implementation, says manufacturers will suffer 25% drop in sales. And just below that, Onyama, that's the foreign affairs minister, it's cheaper to keep foreign mission than close them. And then we go up. APC, PCC, Asarok Cabal wants pliable successor to Buhari. Atiku, Tinubu has history of appropriating public assets. Then on the top mast, interim government, perish the thought. This is coming from Tinubu. Well, it's an editorial actually, but Tinubu is saying perish that thought. NMPC, 64.3 million liters of petrol released daily.
Let's see what the Punch is saying. The Punch newspaper, it's leading with Buhari under pressure to end fuel and Naira disasters. Interim government illegal. Parties warn federal government. Telecom subscribers sue government over tax extension. INEC silent as PVC collection ends. All right, let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper, it says, fuel, Naira scarcity depletes productivity, worsens inflation. Just one or two riders there. ASCN, more workers to sit at home over intolerable fares. Not producing will lead to food shortage. Retrenchment, says food union. Economy has disenfranchised MSMEs. We're starving. Nigerians are lamenting. Protests playing into the hands of those seeking election shift. This is coming from NRC president. He's warning. Government making mockery of monetary system, says NECA. Falano, activists warn of social unrest. Afenifere, Buhari 7-day request to resolve current crisis too long. Let's look at some of the other stories that Guardian has. Atikuta CBN on Naira availability warns against bullion van tendencies. IPOB alleges plan to attack Atiku in Southeast. 20 million to treat cancer case, 1 million naira for radiotherapy. Let's go to some other papers. In the Tribune, currency swap, reps may reconvene before elections if current hardship continues. That's the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Death toll in Katsina killings rises to 84. Buhari condemns attacks. Tinubu versus Atiku North in focus. Suspected herdsman kills 6 farmers, traders in Ondo community. All right, we'll go to the foreign papers, and let's start with the I newspaper. It says trust sparks Tory turmoil over tax cuts. Let's see the Financial Times. Beijing slams US for downing balloon and further strain on trade relations. Oh, well, I go to the next paper, but Kane breaks Greece goal record from 266 to 267. That's in sports. All right, The Guardian. Was it The Guardian you took? Okay, The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper. Chief nurses won over deadlock on NHS pay. One in 10 police officers slipped through vetting. And The Independent, Truss condemned for comeback fantasy.
All right, that's a good one for you. All right, let's go now to, by the way, glad to have you after the weekend, Emmanuel Bello. I'm sure you did enjoy your weekend. Glad to have you here this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Daybreak. Good morning to you. All right, we start as usual with our sister publication, this day newspaper. It says, Naira scarcity. Peter Obi calls for calm, appeals to Nigerians to bear with FG CBN. Down there, one of the writers, man, is saying, I think it was in this paper, yeah, man decries hiccups in implementation, says manufacturers will suffer 25% drop in sales. Then on the top mast of this day, you have interim government, perish the thought. That is, of course, coming from Tinubu. And then you have the story about APC, PCC, Asarok Cabal wants pliable successor to Buhari, and Atiku says Tinubu has history of appropriating public assets. You take your pick. From the interim government story to the Naira scarcity.
That's actually not, it's not coming from Tinubu, it's an editorial. It's the position of the paper, and it's a very authoritative one. It's not every day you see this day doing a front page comment of this nature, or even an editorial, a very heavy worded editorial like that. But of course, they're building it on what Tinubu said at a rally. But this is the position of the paper, saying that, look, the very mention of an interim government, or even the fear of it, shouldn't even be on the horizon at this point in the presidential cycle, because Tinubu suggested what looks like flying a kite when he said, look, some of the hardship you're seeing, some of the crises around the new Naira notes, the fuel scarcity, and all the rest is actually to make Nigeria create violence
that will lead
a chaotic situation where Nigerians will say we're not interested in the election. And Tinubu has been doubling down on that, and clearly saying that there's a cabal at the villa trying to stop him from becoming president. He's had all his men say the same thing. Erufai is on that, some other people are on that. And there's nothing that has been more ridiculous than this in the history of this country, to think that the president, the ultimate power of governance is no longer in the hand of Mr. President, but in the hand of a cabal that can actually even tell the president what to do and everything. It doesn't say well about the APC government, and opposition will always seize this to say, well, that's what we've been talking about all along, that the man at the center is not in charge. There are people who are actually, taking decisions. That's for that. And Peter Obi call seems to be a balanced call. It's called, aligns with that of Atiku. Both of them seem to share this position that, look, well, yes, there are crises around this redesigning and all of that, but that in the case of Peter Obi, even, he tied it to the experience of other countries. He said in India, this has happened before. And it's always a good thing. It has a lot of benefits, he says. And he's appealing for calm, for what seems to be a level-headed kind of response, compared to the annoying and very harsh statements coming from Tinubu, for instance, who say that this is what's against him, this is not for him. So it appears Obi and Atiku seem to be towing what looks like a similar line around the issue of this redesigning of North. And it's a line that actually a lot of Nigerians also share, that, look, yes, the policy, ab initio, is a good one. And but yes, we need to deal with the hiccups that we're all experiencing. I don't know how Kenneth got by at the weekend with the crisis of notes.
I don't have cash. I'm still paying with my card or with transfers. We wait to see how things will turn out. The president has said we should give him 7 days. After 7 days, he will decide. But
there was just saying a while ago, Ken, before you continue, that she hasn't been able to do business for about a week now because she does POS, because she can't get any cash.
And imagine scenario, Ken, I don't know if you have been following that. In the what seems to be even politics is down in the mix, which is more dangerous. That bank managers are actually working with a certain candidate and a certain demography to suck out all that money from us, and pull it in one place and give it to. I mean, that's an accusation coming from the PDP, saying that they believe strongly that the APC presidential candidate is working with bank managers based in Lagos to ensure that we don't get these monies, and that they are kept aside for the election. The very reason why you had this policy in the first place, so that those votes will not be bought.
Who carried the news away from Lagos, I think somewhere in the north, where they went for inspection, the banks. The bank manager had the money
but was not dispensing it. That was outside Lagos. That was somewhere in the north. And then a case of where the notes were wrapped in cellophane, so he couldn't get through the ATM. You know, this was outside of...
all sort of dramas.
Well, it's up to the CBN to act now. Over the weekend, Emmanuel, there was the mock accreditation done by INEC, and a new development. INEC boss says the accreditation will be transmitted as well as the results.
Well, it's INEC way of trying to, to reassure the rest of us that these elections are going to be very transparent. A lot of people want to hear this. Alongside, for instance, the editorial of this day, talking about postponement and all that. Nobody wants to hear those things. Rather, it is the sort of thing that INEC was saying over the weekend after the trials that, look, these machines are going to work. Everybody is looking forward to see an election that is going to be based on technology, based on science, based on facts, figures, reflecting the real thing that is out there, not just the polls that you have in the, some of the polls that you're having now. The APC is complaining so strongly. Kenneth, I don't know if you had time to read that complaint by APC that, look, already Peter Obi is leading in some kind of polls, and that as far as they're concerned, the owners of those polls are partisan in the whole thing. But INEC that is going to do the real polling, and that's, someone said the poll that really matters is the one that happens on the election day. So INEC that is going to do the big poll that everyone expects says that their machines are going to work well and that they don't have the difficulties in this, and so we're going to have technology at its best in this election.
All right, let's look at Tribune. Currency swap still in the news. It says reps may reconvene before elections if current hardship continues. This is coming from the speaker.
Yes, because he's also, the speaker has been in the forefront of making a lot of, the other day he issued even an arrest warrant, or rather he said he was going to arrest Emefiele, the CBN governor, if something is not done. So the House of Reps seem to be we don't hear much from the Senate around this issue. Prompting even Frank Shaibu, the spokesman of Atiku, to question the speaker's insistence on some of these issues. Say, look, why not copy the vice president? Why not copy the Senate president in the way they have approached this issue of these Naira notes? You seem to be too overzealous. So he took a swipe at him. I think that story is in this day, where he said the speaker seemed to be overzealous around this issue, and he tied it to the fact that the speaker has been promised some kind of plumb position if the APC was to from the government. But the speaker has been clear about it, and seemed to also be suggesting that he's in this because of the masses and because of the suffering of the people. Peter Obi shared that same sentiment and said that his greatest concern around the problem of Naira notes and its redesign is not even the politician, but the ordinary masses. So anything that is done along that side to make sure that people get greater access to cash, I think it's a welcome development.
Fuel scarcity is still on, Emmanuel. What's the situation on the roads?
What I noticed is that, well, the filling stations are, a bit, those long queues in some areas are not there, but it's still the black markets sort of there, the one still in charge. But NNPC is saying, I think there's a story in this day where they're saying that there's going to be a lot of
4.3 million liters of fuel sent out there.
Exactly. So that tells you, like we argued on Friday that the problem is not really lack of availability of this product. It's just the bottlenecks around the supply chain.
Some people
the crisis
transferring it out of the nation.
We heard so strongly that now what people do is to sell this fuel outside the country. It's better for them, it's better for their business. So patriotism is out the window. That people can suffer while this product goes. It's embarrassing, it's frustrating. Nigeria shouldn't find himself in this kind of situation, considering its place in oil-producing country. That's one. Two, it's an election season. Nobody needs the elongation of this crisis.
All right, let's look at the Punch. Two stories peep at me from the front page. Buhari under pressure to fuel Naira disasters. Governors in talks with the presidency. MFLA as reps mall emergency session. President must intervene. Crisis affecting turnout at rallies. Senators and reps are saying that. But this story interim government illegal. Parties won the federal government.
Yes, the echo of interim government, I think Punch took it from a story point of view, but this they had a stronger position on it because it's done an editorial, and I think other people should be able to follow it so strongly. We shouldn't even be hearing that. This is one of the most well-prepared election. People are ready for it, anticipating this election. Everyone is prepared for it. INEC has given us, it's always assured us that it's ready. So to even contemplate, to actually imagine that someone somewhere is thinking of an interim government, and in the US, we are all old enough to know what happened in the last interim government of NSI. Sure, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants a deja vu. Nobody wants a return to that past, because this is doable. The electorate are ready. INEC say it's prepared for this election. So we don't really know where there should be a postponement. Some are tying it down to the crisis, the fuel crisis, the Naira redesigning, and all that. But like Tinubu himself tries to say all the time is that, look, we can still vote even in the midst of all of that. He say if it means trekking to your polling booth, we can do that. So yes, Punch is also attacking the interim government, but it was forcefully done by this day, and I think it should be re-echoed across the way. I think more editorials and opinions should come out of that. The echoes of an interim government is not one that anyone wants to even hear, even if it is remotely mentioned by just a candidate in the election.
Thank you so much for your insight, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press preview. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag AriseDaybreak.